Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, July 17th City Council meeting. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Santee.
Here.
Alderman Glad.
Here.
Alderman McClatchy.
Here.
Alderwoman Bassey. Here. Alderman Strack.
Here.
Alderman Cook.
Here.
Alderwoman Miller. Here.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so the first item on the agenda is public comment. During the public comment portion of the meeting, you will have the opportunity to address any agenda items or provide general public comments. Those who have signed up upon entering the City Hall will be called upon individually. For each speaker, you'll be limited to 3 minutes. Today, it seems that the majority of you are here to discuss the pit matter. We want to inform you that we decided to table the vote until we receive a hydrological study. This study is being conducted by Autumnwood Ash LLC with the participation of Heman Well, obviously due to the fact of them knowing the well depths and throughout the McHenry County area. Upon completion, we will provide all data and findings to Stanley Consultants, which is later on in the agenda, who will receive all documents and present their conclusions. Once the study findings are made public, we will also release all the answers to the questions that were submitted through our website just a few weeks ago. We believe it is important to address all concerns comprehensively and avoid any miscommunication. I kindly request that during the meeting you maintain a professional demeanor. I also ask that you refrain from repeating concerns related to dust, sound, water, and well issues, as we are aware of these are some of the top concerns that you all have. Rest assured that we are diligently conducting our due diligence to ensure all well-informed final decision is made on August 7th. So thank you for understanding and your cooperation. And we'll go ahead and get started on public comment with Ron Fisher. Ron Fisher?
Yeah, could you just step up and then press that, the chief will press the button.
Yeah, we'll just keep that on the entire time.
Right.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening. I'm Ron Fisher. I am owner, partner, along with my brother Rick, of Fisher Brothers Fresh Concrete and Fisher Brothers Construction Company. We're a ready-mix producer and excavating company operating in Lakemore for over 40 years. I've also been living in Lakemore for 36 and currently residing Stilling Woods, Lakemore, for 20 years, which is the subdivision just north of the outdoor. We've been a customer of Super Aggregates for many years. Super Aggregates has been our go-to supplier. The other producers that we use occasionally, they run out and, without any material. The Pros Pit will allow us to travel only 3 miles and pick up material, and not the 20 miles that we are currently running. That means 85% less truck miles and wear and tear on the roads. A new pit actually reduces truck traffic and lowers the cost of concrete. He said, don't say anything about dust and noise. I get it, but they're all governed by federal, state, and hopefully city guidelines. Super Aggregate runs a neat, clean operation at all of their facilities. For example, the Volo site, you can drive by there, but again, I'm not supposed to talk about noise and dust. I don't see any. He's got paved roads all the way up to the material stockpiles, and as many of the sand and gravel facilities are running out of material and are closing, we are having a harder time finding materials and have to travel greater distances to pick the materials up for the public orders every day. A new source, especially east of McHenry, would help keep the delivered costs down and less miles our trucks have to travel on our roads. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Next person is Tom Potts. Tom Potts, please step up.
Yeah. There's a couple pictures there that I took. Good evening. My name is Tom Potts. I've lived in McHenry pretty much my whole life, 62 years. I grew up in Kent Acres,
I lived in Eastwood Manor, and now I live over on Ringwood Road, just north of 120. I'm here today because I've also had a relationship with Super Ag for 30-plus years on various types of jobs work. Gravel, sand, dirt, whatever it is, big jobs, little jobs, you know, whatever it is, he does, and it's usually top-notch work, first class all the way long. The equipment that he has, first class work, and I understand that he's putting in a couple lakes in a gravel or a neighborhood or something on that level there. I just wanted to pick out some pictures of an old gravel pit, which is on Bay Road, 134. I'm sure you guys are all aware of it, which was West Tunyon's back in the 60s. And this is what it looks like now. A couple weeks ago. Now, had they maybe not helped them out and let them do a gravel pit like this, these people might live there. I think in the long run, I think it'll help the city. It'll help, you know, however it helps, you know, the income or people working around here. I think it's a good idea. You have Fiesta Days going on right now. I think it would be a good idea to welcome in a new business and a new focal point to push McHenry a little farther. Like I said, I've been around this area for a long time, and I think this is, you know, a great idea here. And I think you've got just the right guy here that can finish a project like this. So that's 5 miles from the other place. And that was a couple weekends ago.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mike Helios?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Mike Helios. I'm the owner of Helios Construction Company. We've been in business for over 45 years in the Fox Lake McHenry area. We do excavating and trucking. We have been a customer of Super Ag for many years. The other producers at times run out of material. The proposed pit will allow us to travel only a few miles to pick up our material. A new pit will reduce truck traffic, wear and tear on our equipment, roads, and lower concrete costs. Super Ag runs a neat and clean operation at all their pits. For example, Volo has a paved road all the way to the material stockpile. As you drive by at Spruce Lake in Volo, all you can see is landscape berms. You didn't want me to say no dust and no noise, but that's the truth. Everyone needs to pay attention to all the developments that Jack has built. They are the best around. To name a few, Dutch Creek Estates in Johnsburg, Eagle Ridge in Antioch, the Ivanhoe Club in Mundelein, Valley View Commons in McHenry, Capitol Court Commons in McHenry, Ridgeview Commons in McHenry, Super Truck Center in Genoa City, Ringwood Corporate Center in Ringwood, and many more. All beautiful developments and landscaping. I also live on a gravel pit, which Patsy just showed you. I've been there for 42 years in Weston Lake Estates on Bay Road, and it's been a beautiful place to live, and all my neighbors love it there. The water is crystal clear. Jack and Tori do the best work around here, and I see no reason for not to issue him a permit for the pit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Vicki Potts?
Hi, my name's Vicki Potts. I met Jack about 33 years ago through Super Ag. And I just want to testify to the type of person he is. He's the type of person that remembers you, he holds to his word, and he has high moral values. It's also demonstrated in all the projects that were previously mentioned. If he says he's going to do something, he typically does it. And in reference to the dust, my son lives right next to Spruce Lake. I help clean his house. There's not that much dust on his furniture. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas Barron's?
Well, Mr. Behrens is coming up. The mayor didn't mention it, but if you signed in and somebody made a comment that you were gonna make and you don't wanna come up, don't feel compelled. You could just say, I have no comment, or whatever you wanna say, or not come up, whatever you wanna do.
Yes, sir.
My name is Nicholas Behrens. I am actually a resident of Woodstock. I actually am the neighbor to Super Aggregate's Lily Pond Pit. Literally right across the street. Couldn't ask for better neighbors. Been there for about 3 years now. Jack and Tori, if I ever need anything, they're there for me. I do have a RV business storage there that I run. So if I ever need gravel, they're right up for a call. They come over, drop off gravel when I need it. They keep their pits nice and clean. I will say Lily Pond Road is a very nice road. They have very nice berms, put in pine trees, beautiful views at night, beautiful sunsets. So Jack and Tori, they're great guys. Love having them as neighbors. All I can say is it's the best people I could have. So thank you.
Thank you. Scott Nolan.
Mayor,
How you doing, sir?
councilmen, and councilwomen, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for
My
hosting
pleasure.
all of this. I wanted to call to the council's attention what I believe are 3 financial issues for which the council has not done its due equity. Okay, its due diligence, rather. The first one is, how much are we going to lose in property values? We all know, as soon as a gravel pit opens, values on the property go down, but how much? You need to know, because you're weighing the benefit you're going to get from super aggregates, and you need to know how much your constituents are going to lose. Now, I wrote a letter and I said, oh, please figure this out. Show us some figures so we know. I didn't get a response. That's okay. So I went and I did some research, and I found Professor Diane Height, professor out of Austin, done some original research. She has calculated a relationship between proximity to a gravel pit and the loss in value. She deals in coefficients. So I thought, there's our answer. I created a spreadsheet I sent to all of you. I said, this is all you have to do. Plug in the figures. Will you do that, please? No response. Everybody out here, the first thought they're going to have had, how much am I losing on my property? That's something that you need to know and you should share with us. That's the first financial issue. Second one is, you're going to be getting $100,000 a year from super aggregates. Well, that's a good chunk of money. The city wants more money. Are you going to be losing anything? Oh, my. Do you know what the lost opportunity value is going to be for that area? It was supposed to be residential, right? You're going to be getting $100,000 for 15 years. You're going to wind up with lots of pollution, lots of terrible stuff, a big hole in the ground. And what could you have? That 110 acres, medium density, 2 houses per acre, 220 houses, $300,000 worth of a house, $66 million that property would be worth. Not to mention 3 or 4 years worth of incomes for contractors and roofers and other people in the trades. You should know how much you're losing. If you're going to be losing a whole lot more than you're going to be getting from super aggregates and without the hole in the ground, we want to know that. You should be providing that to us. The third one is, there's going to be a reclamation at the end of 15 years. Do you know that's going to happen? Absolutely not. You don't have a crystal ball. Nobody does. We're dealing with risk. What happens if the property is not reclaimed? Who bears the burden of reclaiming it? Everybody here. You're dealing with a corporation, super aggregates. Are they going to be around? You know what happens to corporations? They can be involuntarily dissolved. They can be voluntarily dissolved. You can walk away from them. They can run out of money. They can go bankrupt. And what are you going to do? There is no guarantee. you can do a couple of things, probably more, but I thought of a couple. One is you get a letter of credit, but you know that's a promise from a bank. Do banks always stay solvent? No, we're having experience where that is not true. But the only other thing you could do is, this is a pay-for-play deal, okay? If Super Aggregates wants to dig in the ground, promising to reclaim it in 15 years, and every year you need to have them put into an escrow with the city sufficient funds that at the end of 15 years, if they don't reclaim, you can do it. Not your citizens, not your constituents. These are three huge issues, and I haven't heard anything from the council that they have considered these issues. You need to do that. You guys are here to serve the public. That's why you decided to run for office here. I know you want to do the right thing. Do the right thing. Get these figures for us so we can have a reasonable discussion. And thanks for listening.
Thank you. I'll give a 30-second warning, just so that way we keep it at 3 minutes, to the next speaker. Chris Pry. Chris Pry.
Hello and good evening, members of the council. My name is Chris Pry. As a realtor, I know it will have a negative effect on surrounding real estate based on professional experience of selling properties next to undesired and potentially toxic man-made sites, mainly from the negative effects and potential issues and concerns, as you so noted, that come from living near one. And also as someone who grew up across the street from a natural quarry turned gravel pit, our well and the whole neighborhood's wells were contaminated by it and needed to be converted to public water. I have not heard the benefits it will bring to the residents of McHenry. I've heard that the town will get $100,000 per year, but have not heard the direct benefit residents will receive or what that will be allocated towards. I've also heard we need gravel, there's a shortage. The major development companies and the government needs gravel, yet because they need it, the surrounding residents have to sacrifice their property values and potentially their health down the line. We are surrounded by gravel pits. If we need one so bad, they need to find somewhere that isn't so close to surrounding area residents. The only ones I've heard that are for it, as previously have spoken, are those who have a direct business relationship with Jack and Super Aggregates. Every time I drive by the proposed area, I see all the no McHenry pit signs by the residences and businesses that will be directly negatively affected by it. They're the voices that truly matter. The council members or the mayor telling us that it will be a good thing while you don't live in the immediate surroundings of the proposed pit, nor will you have to suffer the negative effects. Also, while there are promises made about business hours or amount of trucks in and out, and that by approving it, McHenry will supposedly have more control of the situation, we don't know that. Once they're in, they're in. A fine is simply the cost of doing business to companies. The promised number of trucks by that intersection alone is going to be difficult, especially turning south on Chapel Hill to go east on 120. That's a congested area to make a turn already, and that will be IDOT's call, not how to handle that, not McHenry's. Plus, the company could easily increase the amount of truck traffic there and not have it be monitored or controlled and therefore not held accountable. Despite promises made during the proposal stage, it doesn't mean they'll be kept down the line. Lastly, I think in looking out for the surrounding residents, the McHenry council members should deny the pit and still annex the land in order to avoid Lakemore or the county potentially approving it. Thank you for your time.
Nicole Pease.
That was fast, sorry. Hi, my name's Nicole Pease. I'm Jack's daughter, and I'm here tonight with my daughter, Addison. All of us here today understand that infrastructure is necessary. As our families grow and time goes on and moves forward, we know we need schools, grocery stores, hospitals, roads, power supplies. Those are just to name a few. I'm proud to say that my father plays a part in building that for all of us in this room. I'm proud to say he's created thousands of jobs over the years. I'm also very proud and blessed that he has created beautiful places for the community, my family and friends, and all of us to enjoy and potentially live in. Some of them have been mentioned above. There's been Dutch Creek Estates, Eagle Ridge and Antioch, Ivanhoe Club and Mundelein, Valley View and McHenry, Capitol Court McHenry, Ridgeview Commons McHenry, Super Truck Center Genoa City, Ringwood Corporate Center in Ringwood, and many more. You see, we all understand it's necessary for infrastructure. Most of us here tonight do not understand what it's actually like and how beautiful it can be to live near a gravel pit and its final product. They're here with concerns of their unknown. It is not my unknown. We're so comfortable with it that my own daughter lives next to a gravel pit. She's very safe there. I have no concerns about toxins or the dust and irrational fears of some. I wouldn't let her live like that if this was an issue. I'm proud to be part of the change and the progress, and I look forward to seeing what other beautiful things we can create. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Addison Pease.
Hello, my name's Addison Pease. I'm Jack Pease's granddaughter, and I'm lucky enough to have a grandpa like Jack who has helped me create my own business and set me up for life, in fact, next to the Burgett Lake facility. AP Ranch is a high-end boarding horse facility, and he wouldn't have chose this location to build if it was unsafe for myself, horses, clients, and visitors. We even host annual field trips from high schools in the area and teach kids what it takes to run a successful equine business. Last year, we were featured on the McHenry County Yearly Barn Tour. Feel free to visit AP Ranch's Facebook site to view all the progress and growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Patty Todd.
Hi, good evening. My name is Patty Todd. I am a newer resident to McHenry County, and I was a lifelong resident in Lake County. And I just want to say, you guys have a gem of a county here, and I don't even know if you understand how beautiful McHenry County is, how wonderful the people are that live in McHenry County. And I'm sure all of you are great people as well. I don't know anything about Mr. Pease other than what I've read recently, and I really wasn't prepared to talk tonight. I signed in because if you want to talk, you gotta sign in. So I'm just going to say, from somebody who was an outsider and now an insider, I am really concerned that, you know, we all need cleaner food, water, air, et cetera, and we're talking about putting this, or allowing this pit to be built where there's proximity of schools and residential areas, and I am not living really close to them, but I have a lot of compassion for the people who are going to have to suffer with this way more than I will from where I live, but we all, doesn't matter, you're breathing the same air, and silica dust is carcinogenic. There's a lot of noise and road issues, and the ramifications, the gentleman that spoke a couple of minutes ago had a lot of really great points, and I hope that you will all take them under serious consideration, have environmental impacts assessments done, as well as, you know, the taxpayers of this county deserve better than just some business owners coming in and wanting to do things that are, we know better and about ramifications to what gravel pits do for the health concerns. Doesn't mean you can't have a gravel pit, but it should not be by a residential area, it should not be by schools, and the air and the noise issues, there's a lot of things that I'm learning about that I had no clue about. I can tell you I have an awful lot of dust in my house already, and I'm in between some pits. I never had that kind of dust in Lake County, and I lived on a lake. The windows were open all the time. I have to keep my windows closed all the time here. So I just want to say that everybody wants to do the right thing. I would encourage you to really give a lot of consideration and make sure that, you know, there are impartial parties that are actually doing very good impact assessments and sharing them with the community before you take any kind of a vote to say this is a done deal, because you want to make sure you have a good neighbor and a good business owner who would be doing this as well. So thanks for your time, and appreciate it.
Thank you. Chris Rusniak? Cynthia Locke? Yeah, she's in the other one. Oh, there's two.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. Just keep going, and then we'll play catch up. Otherwise, she's going to...
They all might be in
there.
Carol, oh, there you go.
Thank you for the opportunity to come before you. I also wasn't going to speak because I don't know that my voice is always needed on every occasion. But like the last woman who spoke, I simply want to suggest to you that although the opposition has been sometimes referred to or seen as irrational, I believe that was a quote from tonight's comments, or from out in left field somewhere, please understand the scope and the depth of the concerns that your community has before you go ahead and vote yes on this. You have a zoning and planning board that voted this down unanimously. That was the first thing that galvanized my interest. What would make your planning and zoning board, who is tasked with recommending to you what is good for this community and where, what would make them give a unanimous thumbs down? I am optimistic. I am jazzed about what I see in McHenry. I want it to go forward. Yes, I believe in infrastructure. Yes, I believe in beautiful neighborhoods. But the people who will be living with this day to day are the people who will be paying any unintended costs that may come with this. And I would just like to reiterate what some people have said this evening, and that's that you have a great deal of work to do to really increase your level of understanding of what the potential is regarding this decision. And I ask that you find it in your heads, in your hearts, to do what needs to be done. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Carol Wrench, she crossed herself out. I just want to make sure before we move forward. Tammy Hanza, is that right? Tammy Hanza?
In this room, is there anybody else who wants to talk? Otherwise, we're going to be, we're moving from different rooms. We'll never get through it.
Yeah, they're coming. George Barth? Sir, you can come up to the podium. Thank you. If you can hold on 1 second, sir, that'd be great. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is George Barth. I own the 5-acre farm that's adjacent to the outdoor movie theater, 1404 Chapel Hill Road. I just recently got a notice in the mail on this. This was noticed, I guess, for several months before I found out about it. There's several concerns that I had. I know in the beginning you said about talking about dust, water. I've got a well that was just tested last year, and it's A1. Water is actually better than the county's. But I don't know what stress that's going to be on that. I know you're doing your studies, and I understand that you're doing it, but the environmental impact, I raise bees there, and I've already been told that if the pit goes in with the dust, my bees are going to be all killed. They won't survive it. So that's something that I am concerned about there. And there's also environmental impact on animals and everything else. It goes on and on. I would like to propose that the council take a vote of all the residents that live around this pit and get a vote, yes or no, do you want the pit or not? There's a lot of people here that have showed up not to hear you guys talk, but it seems like that they're against this, okay? And there's other people that I'm sure that didn't show up that are against it. And I think if you took a vote of all the McHenry residents around this area, I think you would see a better picture of what your people that you're here for, that you represent, would show a better way of which direction to go with this. The dust is going to be bad. And like other people have said, environmental impact is going to be, it doesn't belong around a residential area. So I hope my questions are answered and everybody else is here. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Hansa?
Yes.
Yeah, what's your first name?
Terry.
Thank you.
Hi. Good evening. My name is Terry Hansa, and thank you for letting me speak. I have a couple questions. One of the observations I have is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of information. I have difficulty finding information about what the actual issues are and what the plans are and what kind of research has been done by the village and the board. One of those questions is about the unincorporated area. I happen to live in unincorporated McHenry, and I know that there's a plan to incorporate, I guess, the part of the pit that's going to go in to the village itself. I don't know what that plan looks like. I don't know how extensive it is, and I don't know if I'm affected or not. I'm having trouble finding information about that. I'm also interested in finding out about the development that would happen after this pit is closed. As a previous gentleman talked about, is there funding that's available? Is the funding available now? Is it secured? When I used to rent apartments, I have a home now, a house, but when I used to rent apartments, I used to have to put a security deposit down to actually be able to live there. Is there some sort of trust or funding that's going to be put in place ahead of the development to say this is a security deposit, something that can be fallen back to in case something does happen to this corporation? And I would like to propose that maybe a referendum, as a previous gentleman said, a referendum of the citizens in the city of McHenry could be taken, some sort of vote, a democratic vote, to see what the actual opinions are. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Chief. Hey, Terry. Terry, can you come back in here real quick? Chief, do you mind getting his email and his phone number for me? Or that? And we'll reach out to him. Thank you. All right. Ray Rhodes, you crossed out your name, but if you would like to speak, Ray Rhodes. Sharon Byers, also crossed out your name. Athena there you go. Hey.
How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
My name is Athena Cremarius. I've been a nurse for 45 years. And I've worked medical, surgical, all kinds of units, and I will just tell you, my biggest concern is air pollutants. Cited by Dr. Brian Monick, Utah Physicians for Health Environment, states that air pollutants can cause systemic inflammatory process. I just have to say one thing. I mean, a lot of us are older adults in here, and we already have inflammatory issues. So, I mean, what's going to happen? Certainly can exacerbate. It can also, there is also a negatively impacting all major organs. What is that? Our heart, our lungs, our kidneys, our brain, the immune system, increased chances of infections, development of cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, stomach cancer, brain atrophy, dementia. Forgot to mention that. Plus, yep, that's right, guys. That's what we're looking at. Plus childhood leukemia, autism, Acceleration of the aging process. I'm already up there, okay? I don't need to accelerate it, okay? But here's the other piece. My supervisor, she has her mother that lived by the Belvedere pit, and she had no pre-existing medical conditions. 2 years later, she died. I mean, honestly, this is just like a big, big nightmare. For me, it's a big nightmare. My experience as a nurse is there is a saying for the oath, do no harm. What is Mr. Peace's oath? I just want to know, what is the oath? We're human beings. The most important thing in the world is human beings. That's all I have to say. I hope you have a really nice evening, guys.
Steve Mormino. Steve Mormino. Oh, is that you, sir? Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. So, owned a landscape company for 15 years. I've got a CDL, driven in gravel pits throughout Arizona, many gravel pits in Illinois. Got to know many of the people there. And, you know, I don't have the facts because I didn't know this was going to come up in my life. Stuff does happen to homes around pits. They've all said it. The people who work there have told me that. Again, no facts to back that up because I didn't know I would have to do that. I live in Valmar. We already have 2 gravel pits on 2 sides of our subdivision. What subdivision deserves to be surrounded by 3 pits? What chance do we stand that the air and everything flying around from Thielen and from Mr. Pease is not going to get into our subdivision surrounded by 3 sides? Yeah, it's going to. There could be serious health issues, as you just heard, respiratory issues. Most of us are elderly and susceptible. We have a child with Down syndrome that will be directly affected, living extremely close to the pit, and are considering moving after living in Valmar for only 2 years. Our wells could be affected, possibly contaminated. We stand to lose up to 30% of our property value. In my opinion, and I'm speaking for myself, voting for the pit is saying, oh, well, they might get health issues, their water might get contaminated, they might lose 20 to 30% of their property value. I ask you to pretend that you or your family would be living right next to that pit, and if you would rather not live next to the pit, I would ask you to vote no. We might be unincorporated, but we are McHenryans nonetheless. We care about McHenry, we spend our money in McHenry, and we support McHenry in the same fashion as the corporated people do. I'm asking that McHenry and this board be a family and care about each other and care about our situation and not just be a community of individuals that say, oh, well, they might. These are our lives and our health. This is our oxygen and our water that we're talking about. Is there anything more important than oxygen or water? The answer is no. If you can't guarantee that our wells and our oxygen won't be affected or contaminated, that means there's a chance. It might be this kind of a chance, and it might be this kind of a chance. There might be federal guidelines regarding pit operations. There are also many factual articles supporting the actual deterioration of oxygen and water over time for homes living close to a pit. Please put homes instead. McHenry will make a lot of money with taxes from our homes for our city budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas Finia and Dennis Witt. Sir.
Hi there, Dennis Whitty. I own and operate Whitty Supply Company up in Wisconsin. I've got to know Jack and Tori over the 16 years I've been in business. I buy a lot of things from them. I can just speak from experience. They're a great operator up there. I also, of the last 16, or 11 of the last 16 years, my house was 150 feet from the main entrance to that pit. I started a family there. They've been nothing but great neighbors. They've been helpful. I don't see many issues that are coming, before you guys today. They also, when we met 16 years ago, they took over the operation of a pit up there that had not been reclaimed. And I can tell you today that that pit's probably 75% reclaimed. It looks beautiful. There's a big lake there. There's a beach. I've been allowed to go down there and fish with my kids, my family, and a lot of other people have in the community. So,
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
David Lapointe. I know I'm butchering a lot of these names. I apologize.
Hi, Council. Thanks for the opportunity to talk.
No problem.
My name is David Lapointe. I operate Point Ready Mix. We have 8 production facilities through southeast Wisconsin, 5 in Illinois. Our main corporate office is in McHenry. We're on Bull Valley Road. And I can tell you that we've been doing business with Jack and Tori for over 10 years. They are good partners. They're honest. They're knowledgeable. I can always count on getting a hold of them. These changes, you can't underestimate. I heard a comment that we're surrounded by gravel pits. I can tell you, because I'm responsible for sourcing material for your community, we're surrounded by closing or closed gravel pits. Jack and Tori's facilities are clean, well kept. I am adjacent to them in Volo. That facility, if you drive by on 12, is all you could expect for a gravel operation. Jack and Tori, in fact, at that facility, have surprised me more than once with wintertime cleanup. Whether it's plowing out the drive on a Monday after we've had a storm over the winter, without even talking to us, without even, asking us to help or to take care of it. We are having a harder time finding materials. We're going greater distances for material. Right now, for the Volo facility and the Spring Grove facility, I'm going as far as Bartlett. Last year, I had to look at sourcing material from Monroe Center. That's just southeast of Rockford. When I have to do that, it has a direct impact on the economics of costs to build. So the infrastructure you need help with, and we've done work all over. We did the road improvements up on 31. We've done many subdivisions in town. We did the Authentics project on 31. I have a hard time keeping that economical when I have to source material that far. Another big impact that the public might not be aware of, when a lot more trucking is needed because we're sourcing material so far for your community, the trucking quality, the transportation quality of those vendors goes down. Super Aggregate runs very nice equipment. It's clean, it's well kept, it's maintained. And if they can service the community, we'll be a lot better off with a local pit that's close by. When we have to run
20 seconds.
When we have to run so far for material, that's when we have more trouble with transportation. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Rich Dominski.
Good evening, everybody. I appreciate your time up here. My name is Rich Dembinski. I'm Executive Vice President of Ozinga Ready Mix. Before that, it was Meyer Material, Wholesome. I know you're familiar with Meyer Material up here on 120 with some of the gravel pits that some of the people here in the room are talking about. So I've been in the industry my whole life. I've been dealing with Jack and Tori and their companies for the last 15 years. Before that, it was competitors, and now it's in a vendor-supplier agreement both ways, customer, my dealing with them and with them dealing with us as well. We have 15 locations that operate in the areas that Jack serves and would benefit with over 400 employees in those locations that would benefit from this proposed location here in McHenry for super aggregate. The one thing I know about Jack and his company, a lot of things, but he's a man of his word. What he says, he'll do. He follows through with everything. His whole company is right on the ball. They take care of what's asked of them. And we can always count on him as a company. Yes, there's other gravel pits in the area. Some are closed. A lot have closed over the past few years. And a lot are running out of material or about to close. That's why there's a need right now. Now, I sympathize and understand a lot of the thoughts in the crowd, and the people live around here, and they say, we'll go somewhere else. Well, the one thing with aggregate is you can't just go where you want to. You have to go where the aggregate is. And that's why you see so many locations, Algonquin, McHenry, Cary, in this area, because that's where the vein, the natural vein of material is, and that's where they have to operate. If we go farther out of it, like my competitor who just spoke right in front of me, you're going other communities, other cities farther away, and then having to worry about the trucking, bringing the material in. Now, last year, the whole area, the Chicagoland area, got hit with a big area-wide strike. All the operators running and operating the pits went on strike. Jack was one of the few pits that didn't, because he signed an agreement to pay the locals and to go along with what they were looking for. That allowed us to run. It allowed our communities, our contractors, our customers, local people to get product in a time when all we've been doing is talking about supply chain issues, nothing on the shelves, dealing with these. We're all dealing with that every day.
30 seconds.
So a concern of us, yes. We're business partners. We work together. It's a benefit for our company, but it's also a benefit for everyone in the community. And everything has concrete in it. Up and down the roads, our houses, our businesses, everything else. Our employees that work there, it's a big plus. So I can just tell you, Jack lives here. He's local. Some of the other companies are foreign-owned or foreign-managed. And if there is a problem, Jack will be there. He always has been. He stands behind it, and you can count on him. And that's better to deal with someone who's local and worries about it and has to wake up and rub shoulders with everyone in the community every day. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, sir. Matt Balden. And then Dan Baldino is on deck.
Good evening, and I don't take it lightly that I live in a country and a community where I'm allowed to speak publicly in front of the people who we vote for. I think it's a luxury and a right that people take for granted in this country, and I don't begrudge Mr. Peace or anyone who does business with him the right to do their business. I think I have a family and I support them, and that's my job, is to make sure my 2 children are taken care of and my wife. And I don't think that any of the people back here, to be honest, who are in trucking or gravel and sand and this type of gravel are the enemy of everybody else. I don't actually believe that. What I do believe is they're the minority versus the majority. I do believe that. And I think, Mr. Mayor, you have trumpeted and championed the Riverwalk and the improvements of this city. And I've read your quotes just as I've read the articles about Mr. Peace dating back to 1991 in the media. And I can tell you that just because this fit in the 40s, I think you should talk to the people on Bay Road that they talk about at Tunyon's. I grew up in the summers up there my entire life. And I can tell you there's a lot of families that lost a lot of people to cancer at a very young age. Now, is that anecdotal? Probably. And I'm not asking you to make any decisions based on that. What I am asking you is not to take some areas of this county and city and taking it back to 1940. What I'm asking is not to put a gravel pit that has known carcinogens in it near a grade school that you guys built fairly recently. It's a generation of kids that, quite frankly, are more likely to die in a science class by gunfire than in a war defending our country. Mr. Peace has the ability and the resources to pay for all the data we need. And to be honest, I've only been involved in this fight for the last couple months, and I can tell you the data already exists. You don't need to look that hard. The EPA, the Illinois government, everybody has the data. And all I would ask all of you in front of me today is this, because I think I'm a little different. I love this place because my grandmother has been up here for exactly 100 years, and I now own that house. And my brother's had a house here for 23 years. What I would ask you is this. It's not a high school or grade school class president election. This should be a data-driven decision because the minority has spoken and the majority has spoken. You know what sides they're on. And that's impossible for all of you because this is a small community. Clearly people in here have had financial interactions with Mr. Peace, and I don't blame you. It's a small community. The point is simply this. What does the data tell you to do about the school, the carcinogens, the houses? This is not people who put their homes, okay, next to a gravel pit. And I get it. The one was existing, but that isn't an argument based on what zoning said to put another one there. It's an argument for not. It's an argument for doing what's right. I honestly, when I say this with all sincerity, I hope you find another gravel pit in another area that can make you, your family, and your business partners really successful. I do not begrudge you the right to that. I'm just saying don't set this area and this community back by 80 years for the minority, for a very small minority, albeit good people. I mean, I don't think these people are up here lying about the Peace family. I don't, and by all accounts, they're good people. That doesn't mean you put a gravel pit, a super aggregate, near a grade school and homes that already existed. There's right and there's wrong, and this isn't going to be an easy decision. This is going to be the hard one. This is not going to be the path less traveled. This is going to have obstacles. This is going to be the hardest decision. But let me leave you with this. In 20 years, we're not going to be better off. No one has ever given me an answer other than the financial gain of the minority. No one has said to me how this helps. I've asked a bunch of people, some of which are in front of me today, how does this help McHenry at large? And that's not the answer I get. I don't get an answer. I get we're better off controlling it. That's not the right answer. A data-driven answer will lead you to the moral and the conscious answer, which is to stop the pit and help the Peace family get out of this transaction and move forward with a better plan. McHenry deserves it.
Dan Baldino, go ahead.
I would also like to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I just want to reiterate two things, one of which is McHenry is experiencing a renaissance. I grew up coming here and living here, and it was a town that you drove through on 120. No one ever stopped in McHenry. And the work that people have been doing for the past 3 or 4 decades to get to the Riverwalk, to get to where this city is at right now, is so inspiring. Driving down Green Street, seeing the Riverwalk, it's like if you've been here your whole life, you can't believe it finally happened. And I hope we continue to move forward. The second thing that I would ask very respectfully is that any council members who have done business with Mr. Peace or family members of Mr. Peace should recuse themselves to the vote to ensure there is absolutely no conflict of interest or any sense of impropriety or unethical behavior. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tom Sullivan. And Terry LeDuc is on deck.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Most of you know of me. I've been in the community for 40 years. Don't mind my laryngitis. I've been in the community for 40 years, and 30 of those years as a part of the McHenry business community. And I come before you tonight to ask you to please not consider the annexation proposal before you that includes another gravel pit. You as leaders, along with good city management, have accomplished so much that have improved the lives of all of us in McHenry. That is why it is so difficult for many of us in this community to reconcile. how any of you would seriously consider a gravel pit in a residential area that's been around 50 to 80 years, across the street from a preschool and a middle school, a few blocks from an elementary school, next to a county landmark, McHenry Outdoor, and across the street, I know one of all our favorites, the chocolate factory. Not to mention so close to many private wells. Some will paint a pretty picture while glossing over real risks to a gravel pit in this area. It is never a good look to cater to the needs and wants of the few and risk the health and welfare of the community that you serve to protect. I would remind everyone that we are the heart of the fox, not the pits of McHenry, and I thank you.
Paul Gurns is on deck. Terry Leduc.
We can barely hear what anybody's saying, Mick, or so if I repeat, I'm sorry, but there's talk where they have to travel for gravel. There's 2 other pits in the area. We need a third? I don't think so. There's 2 already. But what I really wanted to talk about is, Mayor, you are saying that you want control over this pit, that it's important to have McHenry rules rather than the county's. Other than ours and maybe berm heights, pick a council member and let them tell me the differences between McHenry and the county. Sue, I know you. What are the differences?
They do not respond to the public.
Oh, you can't?
Comment. No.
Can you?
I could, but I've made it very clear, the post, and if you'd like, I can go ahead and get you that information.
Because I don't think the differences are that great. Okay. And why aren't you talking about them then?
They are very important, so thank you. Paul Gurns.
Hi, my name is Paul Gurns. I've been proud to call Lakemore, McHenry County, and the city of McHenry home for over 20 years. And I want to start out by saying this is not an attack against the Pease family or the operation. By all accounts we've heard today, they're good people, they run a good operation. When I first heard about this proposed pit back in 2022, my main concern was how this pit would affect the value of my home. And admittedly, this was a selfish concern, but that's the reason I got involved. Much like the selfish concerns we've heard today, I have to drive farther to get gravel, it's going to impact my bottom line, et cetera. But the more I got involved, I realized that this pit had the potential to impact not just my property value, but our most precious resources, clean air and clean water. Please note, I use the word potential. This was intentional. We've heard a lot about the good pits out there, and I'm sure they exist, but is this particular pit a good pit? I don't know. I don't have expert knowledge of hydraulics and groundwater. My father was a carpenter, and if he were alive today, he'd probably say something like, when it comes to geology, water tables, and aquifers, I'm a damn good carpenter. Replace the word carpenter with data nerd, and that's how I feel standing before you here today. This is not my area of expertise. In fact, I think it's fair to say that none of us in this room today have the expertise, tools, resources, and lack of bias to determine the real risk of what this proposed pit will be. Not today, not next year, and certainly not in the next 12 to 20 years that it'll take to complete the project. I do applaud the city and the council for taking additional steps outlined today to have the additional resources try and assess the impact that this pit will have, both on the environment and the lives of the people surrounding it. On the surface, however, it does seem that this exercise is more about interpreting existing data that's possibly outdated or irrelevant than it is about gathering new data by an unbiased third party. This isn't meant to question the knowledge or expertise of the panel assembled by the city. I'm just speaking from my heart and sharing my concerns. It's with this sentiment that I'm personally asking the City Council and anyone else involved with this mission to approach this with an open mind, an unbiased mind, and let the data speak for itself, just as those in favor of the pit are asking us that oppose it to do. A few weeks ago, I heard a council member liken the decision to allow this pit to a business transaction in the corporate world. He went on to say that one of the things he learned from 30 years in politics was that sometimes you just have to make a decision and move on. Coming from the corporate world, I understand and I would agree. However, this is an unfair comparison. In the business world, the result of a failed decision can cost money, market share, and maybe even the loss of a business, but rarely will it cause the loss of human lives. If the data shows that there's even a chance that this pit can cause damage to our air or water, or worse, human lives, I feel you have no choice but to present those facts and vote no to this pit. It's just not worth the gamble. Thank you for your time.
John Behrens and Danny Mazurik. Victoria Miller.
Good evening. My name is Victoria Miller. I live next door to one of the super aggregate gravel pits in Richmond. I have lived in Richmond for now about 12 years. My husband, Kurt, and I love where we are. We bought our house actually with the pit already existing right behind us. Noise is not a concern for us at all. We are out there in the country. We are by farmland, animals, children. This is not a concern for us. Noise has never been an issue. I sit outside frequently. I read and I enjoy nature. Our road is nicely paved, even with the traffic of trucks. There are no issues with truck traffic. We have children on our road. There's never been any issues with children. I know we weren't supposed to talk about water or air, but I've never had an issue with any of the dust or soil. I'm constantly drinking water from our faucet. I go to the doctor every year to get a physical. My doctor says I'm 100% healthy. We have farmland, obviously crops, hay, all of the animals that are out there. They all drink the water. They all eat the food. They're all healthy. The looks of the gravel pits, Jack, Tory, and super aggregates, all the landscaping of the entrances and pits to make them look beautiful. They have paved entrances. Also, as the pits are finished, the landscaping and the finishing touches are always a huge consideration for them as well. For example, I love the fact that they opened up our view to the lake that has been made from the gravel pit and even giving us private access to my very own beach. I am extremely grateful for that because I was even a thought for them as a neighbor. And over the years, I have also seen many other finished products that they've had, and they just look absolutely beautiful. So in conclusion, I'm a resident, I'm an educator, I'm a community member as well, and I've never had an issue with noise, traffic, dust, soil, and Jack and Tori, they're very thoughtful, they're courteous, and as an educator, they consistently do their homework, they go to workshops, and they're making sure that the community and everybody's safe around them. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Behrens or Danny Mazurik? Mary Jo? And Sandra Doler? Daler. Sorry. Yeah, these are the last two. Mary Jo and Sandra Daler. Are you Mary Jo?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you.
I only have one thing to say. In the words of Greta Thunberg, how dare you? How dare you?
Sandra Daler?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
I'm going to try and speak clearly and slowly so our friends out in the hallway can understand and hear. I'm fairly new to the McHenry County area, about 3 years. We love this area. We love the nature, we love the chain of lakes, we love the city of McHenry. While we may not reside right in the city of McHenry, we support the city of McHenry by shopping at your stores, using the doctors here. Even my pets support McHenry, the city of. My point here today is that we love your community so much, the community that we moved to, that we want to relocate my 87-year-old mother to McHenry in order to be closer to us. The funny thing was, when I found out about the pit, I joked to my husband, there will be plenty of homes for sale for Mom now. But all joking aside, that is a concern. The realtor's point earlier in this meeting is the property values in McHenry, particularly those who are located so close to the pit, proposed pit. In all due respect to Mr. Pease, I don't know you, I don't know your business practice or your philosophies, and I have been listening to those who are in support of you, and I understand that you are a businessman who will address concerns, but I really don't know how you would address the concerns of air quality and water quality to the utmost degree where it would be safe for children, 87-year-old mothers, or anybody to live near. I served as a village trustee from the village that I moved from. And I will tell you this, we as trustees took into account the people who put us in office, and their opinion mattered the most. This may be a revenue venture for the village, I understand that, but you also have to think about the residents that voted you into office to represent their needs, their concerns, and their financial well-being. I don't understand how these people who live so close to this proposed site are going to get any value out of their property if they go to sell. If I bring my 87-year-old mother here, we get a property for her near, and she happens to pass, I'm stuck with trying to sell this piece of property that's being impacted by a gravel pit that may have consequences on the health of the future buyers.
10 seconds.
So I would just like to wrap it up that I certainly hope that the McHenry County Tourism Bureau does not have to change their motto from naturally McHenry County to McHenry County is the pits. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for their public comment. You know, we obviously want to hear your voices. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your concerns, which I think we've done a good job putting it online, trying to get those questions answered by professionals and not just myself or staff that doesn't do water and dust and all that every day. So we will get those answers out to you guys as fast as possible. The next item on the agenda is an action item, which is a motion to table this item. In essence, it'll be on August 7th at 7 p.m. here. So at this time, looking for a motion to postpone additional consideration and action related to the proposed super aggregates gravel pit until Monday, August 7th, 2023. Regularly scheduled meeting of McHenry City Council pending the completion of a hydrological study. Further consideration and action on that date will be contingent upon completion of said study by super aggregates and subsequent review of the City of McHenry and its consultants. I am looking for a motion in a second. Alderman Santee?
I'll make that motion to postpone action item number 5 on tonight's agenda as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Miller?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. The petitioner Jack Pease would like to make a couple comments, so go ahead, Jack, the floor is yours.
Good evening, my name's Jack Pease. I'd like to address all of your concerns and hopefully fill in some gaps with some facts and data for you. We all, first of all, need to understand we can't get by without sand and stone. It is under every driveway, road, part of your house. This building here is probably made from 90% sand and stone, and the parking lot and road in front is made from 100% sand and stone. So we're in an industry that we first have to understand that the sand and gravel got brought here by the glacier, got to the Fox River Valley, was deposited in a thin line along the valley, and if you look at any map that I've given you that shows the previous and current gravel pits, they are all right along the Fox River Valley, starting from Fox Lake on down to Elgin, with Crystal Lake and McHenry in between. That's where the gravel is, but it's also where some houses are. So we have no choice but to get gravel from where it's found. It is where it is. The public needs it. We used to have 33 gravel pits only 8 years ago operating in McHenry County. A year ago there was 14. Today there's now 11. And but if you stay just 15 more minutes, I can help enlighten you. Thank you for coming. Now that we've got 11, there are shortages, and not just occasionally. Fisher Ready Mix made the point very clear. After being a customer of Thalen's for 40 years, 5 years ago, they were cut off from getting stone because Thalen could not make enough stone. They've had to go 20 miles further away to bring the stone from 2 miles west of Richmond to get to Lakemore for their plant. With the McHenry East Pit being open, they would only have to have 15% of the amount of trucking to bring their material, lower their cost by about $5 per cubic yard, but most important, continue to meet the public demand for concrete and the public demand for asphalt and bag products from Sac Creek and Quick Creek and all the other people that we supply. And don't think not having those materials wouldn't affect everybody. If you just use 20 years worth of memory and start off at Super Walmart north of McHenry and Johnsburg and work your way down to Myers and Home Depot and Fast Eddie's and all the way through to the hospital and the Walgreens, Busford, all of those are our concrete, our gravel under the parking lots, and we have to keep working to make those products so that the demand is met for all the public to use all those stores, schools, roads. Your new Green Street didn't get done unless it was 85 or 95% sand and stone that was made by partially Thalen and partially us that went into your concrete, into your asphalt that was put down there. So we're all on the same team here trying to keep a modern life going because the alternative to a modern life...
They're not debating the need. They want to hear about health.
Okay, let me just...
Stay on the issue.
Let me get right down to...
Otherwise, they're all going to leave.
Okay, let's get right down to noise, dust, and water and get over with. We have taken the council members and anyone from the public that accepted an invitation to go see other operations we have, such as Lily Pond and Woodstock, Route 23 in Marengo, and Ibsen Road in Belvedere. We stood there with the council members and the mayor and stood there and watched from the entrance, maybe 400 feet from the plant. You could barely hear the water spraying on the plant. The road's paved all the way in. There's no dust at all anywheres. The processing is all wet processing. There's no dry crushing. We walked up to where the electric dredge was. There was no diesel engine. It had power lines coming in from ComEd and a cord going out to the electric motors that only hummed. No smoke, no noise. The products went down a pipe, came out at the plant as washed pea gravel, 3/4-inch stone, mason sand, and torpedo sand for asphalt and concrete, loaded onto trucks. went out the gate on top of asphalt asphalt grindings with no dust at all, and all of a sudden we're talking about how dangerous is dust going to be. Well, there is no dust. How are we going to contaminate the water? The water's an easy one. We live in houses in Valmar or some other area near there, and we have a well and we have a septic. Our septic, we put anything we want down the drain and down the toilet. It goes in the groundwater. We go over 70 feet, and there's the well. We're not talking about contaminating our own well water with what we're putting down the toilet. Instead, we're worried about a quarter mile away, a nice clear body of water that I'm going to give you an example. Go to Vulcan Lakes, which was a gravel pit, of course, in Crystal Lake. Thousands of people go there every weekend to enjoy swimming and playing in that beautiful clear water. Nobody's worried about the quality of the water, and might as well talk about dust over there or silica. All that sand that's on all those beaches at Vulcan Lake came from our gravel pit, put there by our crews. We did the job for the city of Crystal Lake. No one's worried about laying on that sand, playing in it with their kids. There's no silica dust in it. Everybody's enjoying the beach. The clear water in that lake, that's part of the groundwater. That's part of the same groundwater that, in this case, would be Valmar Estates septic systems. I'm not sitting here saying they need to hire a consultant to see how they're contaminating my water. What are they talking about? There's no contamination. I've got a clear body of water lake, just like where Mike lives in Weston Lake Estates. Those are perfectly clear bodies of water that everybody worships and dreams about. So there's really absolutely no noise. We did an experiment. I went with some of the council members, and we said 1,600 feet away is the very first house in Valmar from where the plant would be and stay forever. At 1,600 feet away, we went up Ibsen Road to almost the intersection of Newburgh Road. Got out at exactly the same point, 1,600 feet, and we had to stand within a mile because the noise from the car tire 3/4 of a mile away could be heard still. We had to wait till there was perfect silence. And when there was perfect silence and no car within a mile, we could finally hear nothing. You still couldn't hear anything at all, even when it was perfectly silent. And I even had my hearing aids in that day. And so there's no noise, and I've got to reiterate the dust. We do a wet operation. We don't haul from the bank to the plant with loaders or with trucks. We make sure that we convey it there by the dredge, through a pump, inside of a pipe, mixed with water, flows to the plant, and comes out as the end product's wet. So where do they collect the dust or emit the dust when they're always wet from under the water to when they get to the pea gravel pile at the plant? So we have a wet operation that doesn't have any noise, doesn't have any dust, so we don't need to worry about how bad is the dust. There isn't any. You need to go visit for yourself. We'll call us up at the office. We'll give you directions. You can go on your own, or we'll even have somebody take you there and go out and look at 2 or 3 of these operations so you can see that they actually figured out a way to make sand and gravel so the public can have their new house, their new driveway, their new school, and have it safely without any negatives to worry about. So we don't just reduce the amount of dust or noise. There is none. And then as far as water, I made that very clear. We have beautiful clear water in the lake, and all of a sudden we're not worried about septic systems going in that same aquifer. You're only going to worry about the clean body of water across the street. Get serious. Look in the mirror and say, I got to be honest. If I don't worry about my septic and when I flush down the toilet going in that water, why would I worry about a clear body of water a quarter mile away? Get serious. Yeah, you want to clap? I get to clap once in a while too. And you're wrong. You're wrong. And you enjoy every day when you drive on a new road or walk on a sidewalk.
David, I got it.
Well, I get beat up and called names for all the names they call me. Well,
just answer the question.
Excuse me. Okay, so that got to the point There is no dust. We know how to operate in such a manner that there is no concerns from dust and water pollution. We have none. We don't do anything that exposes our water to anything negative. We don't even have a fuel tank on site. Your contaminations that people hear about are point source elements that get into the water. Whether it was Morton Chemical 1 mile away from your well, that's the point it came from. Or was the gas station with a little tank that leaked? That's the point it came from. Or it could even be natural occurring elements like the city and many wells experience. There's just some negative elements that are in the groundwater that when you take the groundwater out, you have to contend with. But none of those all have a point of source. And when you look at a body of water, like whether it's Weston Lake Estates or a gravel pit we have half done, it's a beautiful, clear body of water. Or the best way is not me just painting that picture, stop at Vulcan Lake. Look at that beautiful body of water, and everybody that goes there sees the name Vulcan Lake. They remember it was a gravel pit, and they're also appreciative of the fact that that gravel pit was dug there and left that beautiful body of water for everybody to enjoy forever. So I think I've nailed down the noise, the dust, and the water as those are just concerns that should have been addressed. We have addressed them. We've learned how over decades to mitigate them and not have them be an issue at all because we don't allow them. And we've learned how to be a good neighbor. So now we can have sand and stone, new roads, concrete, asphalt, and all the things that we need so we don't have to drive a horse home and live in a log cabin with a dirt floor. We get to have a nice home and a road to get there. Let's all appreciate that as we go home. And now that those people are working hard every day to make those sand and gravel products for you, now appreciate the fact that they figured out a way to do it without any noise, dust, or water contamination, and then we all go home living happily together forever. So there's room to all get together. No, you got to get involved.
Jack, look this way. Don't even
Talk to us.
Everyone's got to get involved and get informed. Okay, if you only want to go on a website, or I don't know how it works with social media, but you get into it, when you ask to get in, if you have a different opinion, you get erased. So all that gets in this box that goes back and forth is negative and negative. No one's listening. I'm begging everyone to listen because you'd be amazed how the solutions are not at hand. Solutions are already implemented in our industry. We are a good neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, we have a motion on the floor.
Sir, no, public comment is over, sorry.
Public comments are over.
Huh?
Nobody else can share.
All right.
It would be good if everybody wants to.
All right, public comment is over. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Ante?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Thank you. That item has been tabled to August 7th. Next item on the agenda is a consent agenda, items 6A through 6N. I'm looking for a motion to approve. What item would you like to pull?
I'd like to pull A, E, and H, please.
I'm sorry, what did you say, A, B?
A, E, and H. Apple, Edward, Horse. Alderman McClatchy, go on.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Wait, hold on, there's other items that will be removed. Alderman Glab.
Oh, okay, all right.
D, please.
D as in dog? All right. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Yeah, item 6J, I will have to recuse myself from that vote. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so we're pulling items 6A, 6D, 6E, 6H, and 6J.
Okay.
Good?
Thank you.
Any others? Alderman Cook?
F.
And F. Tricia, you got that?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. All right, I am looking for a motion to approve 6B, C, G, I, K through N. Alderman Santi?
I will make that motion.
Thank you. Alderman McClatchy?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by council on these items? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santi,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glab,
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
C, G, I, K, and N.
K through N.
Got it.
Got it. First item that was pulled was 6A is Engineering Master Service Agreement between the City of McHenry and Stanley Consultants for the review of the hydrological data related to the Super Aggregates McHenry Lakes project and authorization to execute said master service agreement. I'm looking for a motion in a second or discussion.
I have questions.
Go ahead.
You had mentioned that Heman, is that the Heman in Johnsburg, Heman
Yes.
Welding? Thank you so much.
Well.
Well.
Heman Well.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay,
Welding.
thank you. When I read the packet, I did not see an expected cost. I saw an hourly rate, but not a cost.
The cost is actually paid for by Jack Pease.
Thank you. That was my next question, so
Yep.
thank you so much. So is it a situation where Jack Pease is going to reimburse the city, or the bill goes directly to Jack
Ross,
Pease?
you want to explain that process?
Sure, we take a retained personnel account is what we call it. So in the beginning of this project, we asked for $10,000 from Jack. That pays for all of the engineering review and any other staff or engineering or review that is associated with it. So that burden is totally on Jack. We will review what we have in this retained personnel account if this is approved tonight and adjust accordingly before any work is performed.
Thank you. Those are my only questions.
I got a follow-up question. What, the data they're using, how old is that?
I don't have any of that data yet. I have no idea.
But
Stanley
the
Consulting would be the one that would
Right,
be.
but the data is getting submitted from
Another firm. Yeah.
another firm.
Yeah.
So they're using used data, right?
Well, no, they're going to go out and get the data.
They're going to go
today
to
or tomorrow.
they're going to the pit.
Yeah, it's brand new data.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not old.
It's a brand new study, so it has to be performed. And that would be something.
And that's why we hired this firm
Yes.
to look over. It's almost like Ross put it in a good way of if you're building a house or you're building a building and you have an engineer to look over your plans or whatever, and then you have the city look it over after. It's the same procedures.
All right. The reason I brought that up, because it really didn't say where the data was coming from. So what you're saying now is they're going to go out and actually drill to test where the
Well,
water.
I'm sure they may not have to drill again. The borings that Jack did for that to investigate the site may be good enough, you know. Jack, how many borings did you do out there?
Well, they accumulate all the area well logs.
Right, I know. How many borings did you do on the site, though?
3 or 4.
You did more than that.
3 deep ones and
Okay.
about 30 shallow.
So if Stanley Consulting, who we have hired or going to hire from the city, isn't, that data is not acceptable to them, and they're the professionals, then they will go back and say, hey, I need more data.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Looking for a motion to approve 6A as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second?
Okay.
Alderman Strack?
I'll second.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Excuse me, Mayor. Alderwoman Bassey is the one who pulled that, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
All right. So item 6D is a task order number 3 in the amount of $41,280 with Baxter and Woodman Incorporated for professional design services for the Riverside Sidewalk Gap project and authorization to execute said task order number 3. I am looking for who pulled that? Alderman Glab?
Yes, I did.
Basically,
you know, this was all news to me when it first came on the agenda. We're looking at, for one thing, cart before the horse. Why would we be spending that kind of money? I mean, $41,000 is nothing compared to what the entire project's going to run. And most of this is through properties that are not in the city. Now, granted, if the proposed annexations had gone through last month, this would probably be more mute than it is now. However, I think of the money that we'd be spending to put sidewalks in there, number one, in all the years that I've used Riverside, I don't think I can remember maybe even one or two times that I saw pedestrians going down the street. You don't see them hardly ever. And when you're talking the amount of sidewalk that's on there, now granted, some people say they see them, but I'm telling you, I drive through there, I don't see that many pedestrians. So why are we spending that kind of money, for one? Number two is there's a huge amount of additional property value that goes to residents that aren't even in the city by putting sidewalks in front of them. And this all depends on an intergovernmental agreement between the township and the city. We haven't even discussed any kind of intergovernmental agreement there. That hasn't come to council. I don't know if it's come to the township. This is an agreement between Public Works and the road commissioner in the township. I think we need to have this on a discussion item, and unfortunately Troy isn't here tonight to really discuss this totally logically. So I'd like to see this put on hold until such time as we can have a good discussion on it.
Okay. Alderman Strack. So this is a continuation of council's approval of a 4-mile loop, a pedestrian loop, that was approved by council a few years ago, that was brought forward from Doug Martin and myself when I was back in the Planning and Zoning Commission to create a pedestrian loop, a 4-mile walk path around the city. Council approved that idea, and this sidewalk engineering is to be done to figure out how much it will cost to finish that project. There's an elevation change on Riverside Drive that needs to be addressed, and some groundwater that will need to be addressed at the same time. So this council, most of the members on this council, approved that to be done a couple of years ago. So that's what this engineering is for, is to figure out the cost of the remaining sidewalk that would need to go in. I understand your concern, Alderman Glab, but this council, and I believe you were here for that vote, did approve to have that walk path approved and put in at some point in time in the future. So I don't think postponing this again after I've been off of the Planning and Zoning Commission now for 3 years. I served on it for 9. I don't know, Doug's memory is much better than mine, but this has been going on a long time. I would love to see our residents and our constituents have the ability to walk our community all the way around in a 4-mile loop. Thank you.
Any other comments? Alderman Santi? Alderman Santi.
Yeah, I guess this is for staff or whomever, if anybody can answer, since we have just the engineering number in front of us. Do we have any idea? I mean, I guess we have to wait until it comes back to get a final cost, or do we have a window? Do we know where it's at all, dear? Okay, at this time. Okay, and that will come, okay, that should come to us. Well, it will come to us if this engineering gets approved, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that area, you're spot on, Alderman Strack. That area has had a gap forever. And people have always been asking, when are you going to finish it? And it was always a township thing or whatever. So I'm glad we're finally addressing it, because a loop would be fine.
Alderman Bassi.
Carolyn, if this is approved, are the funds in the budget? Sorry. And while you're looking, I would just like to say that I do walk that area. And without a sidewalk, it is a little bit dangerous to be a pedestrian. I mean, I can honestly say I have walked every single street in this town. And it does get a little bit dangerous on the Riverside Drive area without, so you're on the street, and I think the speed limit is 40, so that means 50. So it could be a little dangerous.
Yes, it is in the budget for this year, paid for with the general fund.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Cook? Well, if this is McHenry Township, are they offsetting some of the, the Baxter Woodman thing? Aren't they responsible for that area? I mean, I'm not understanding, if it's not part of the city, why is the city jacking with it? I mean, I understand, I like the improvement, I would love to have the sidewalk in and stuff like that, but, I mean, are you talking water, sewer, and everything else going along with these sidewalks? And if it's part of the township, why aren't they pitching in? If they want to help improve, or if it's going to be an intergovernmental agreement, one hand washes the other or something like that? And another question is, since it was, the section behind St. Pat's was not annexed, and I saw the map, is this what's holding back the city from doing the sidewalk and to make the ring around Riverside Drive? Then why, I'm not understanding why we're messing around with township jurisdiction. Can somebody answer that?
I can answer that. So water and sewer already goes down Riverside Drive, so it's already there for anybody that needs to tap into it. The second part of it is that the annexations that did not pass, this section of road would have been annexed that night, and it would have been ours, yes. But we did not annex that in, so therefore it remains in the township. This project, the annexations were identified years ago, and this project was identified this year because, well, we had thought that we were going to annex that property in. So there's your answer for that.
So no matter what happens, this is going to go through? I mean, put the sidewalk in with all the, engineering and everything else like that? When we didn't even annex it? When the city didn't annex, township?
Well, right, but staff was directed to do the annexations, and this council chose not to do them. So we didn't annex it, but this project was identified as years ago, as Alderman Strack said, to be done.
Go ahead. Alderman Cook, I'm not sure I follow the course of action. This project is a project to make an improvement for the city, to complete a 4-mile walking pedestrian loop for the whole city of McHenry. It engulfs from McCollum Lake Road to Peterson Park, down the Prairie Path to Main Street to the Riverwalk. It is a 4-mile loop. I don't follow the line to the annexation, other than the fact that we would have gained the 500 feet of township roadway, or however much. It's not very much space. It is a very small gap on Riverside Drive that is township space and not city space. But we're talking about, I believe it's 600 feet of property that's not ours, and the remainder is surrounded by city property. We can't finish the loop for the rest of our residents without doing this project, but you can't do it without engineering because, as I stated earlier, there's a major elevation change and groundwater that needs to be addressed under the sidewalk so that we don't wash that into the street. So I'd be happy to hear your comments on where it ties to the annexation. This is for the whole community, not just for one piece. Thank you.
But it's not the city of McHenry.
It's surrounded by the city of McHenry. It's one piece of road that's not ours.
And I have no issue of going to the township after the engineering is completed to see what kind of funding they could supply us for this project. I have no issues of doing that, but we have to get the engineering done in order to move forward.
Well, okay, with the intergovernmental agreement, are you going to just talk to them and say, let's have
We have a
some
good
money
relationship.
toward.
We
Yeah,
have a
I
good
understand that, I understand that, you know, you try to do the best you can with townships. You know, I could see it benefiting them and benefiting the city.
I have no issues going to them.
You know, let's, you know, cover some of the cost of it.
All right.
Let's put it that way.
I'll go to them after we get this study to see what kind of, all right? Huh?
Can we amend this, or would we need to, or just wait?
No, I mean, well, I would suggest that we approve this, and then moving forward from here is when we would contact township.
Perfect, thank you.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah, and any intergovernmental agreement with specifics in it would have to come back to council for approval.
Correct.
And this project wouldn't be funded in this fiscal year. It would be part of future fiscal year's discussion, so that's when council could choose whether or not to fund it. At this point, we're having the study done.
Thank you.
Again, we
Okay,
are
go ahead.
talking about the taxpayers of this town paying for something that a very, very minimal amount of people would use. And I mean very minimal. And it's a very large, extensive project. I know, Ross, you mentioned there's already water and sewer there, but not storm sewers. It's all drained by culverts, isn't that?
There's some storm on Riverside Drive. Yeah, I'm not familiar with where
Further down,
and how much.
closer to, closer to Pearl in Washington?
No, I think there's one right where it ends, the
Well,
sidewalk.
you know, we've got so many different things that we don't even have all the information. If Troy was here, we'd have that information, but, that he could look up, but we don't even know that. And I'm looking and saying, what kind of costs are we having to loop the city with a sidewalk that hardly anybody uses? Very few people, if any. Like I said, I never see anybody walking down that street, every time I've gone down, and we're talking over 30 years that I've been driving down with Riverside, and I never see anybody walking down that street. So, like I said, is it a project that we'd like to see maybe someday done? Maybe, but are there other projects that maybe are more of a higher priority than a sidewalk over there? Considering I've already talked about how we need to take the sidewalks that are already out there that are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and a lot of them are starting to get pitted and cracked up, and we don't have the money to fix that, but we're going to have money to put in a brand-new sidewalk in an area to where that was developed without sidewalks, and all we're going to do is more than anything else, is improve the value of the properties along Riverside where we put those sidewalks in. So.
Alderwoman Miller.
Thank you, Mayor Jett. I think it's important to remember the why of these projects, and the why is about comprehensive planning and continuity. So we obviously own property to the south, we own property to the north, and the missing link is the connectivity, which is why, to Alderman Clabb's point, you don't see people walking there, as Alderwoman Bessie just said. You're risking your life walking on the edge of Riverside Drive. So for continuity purposes and to serve our constituents that are north of Riverside Drive, the unincorporated space, it would be nice to offer them an opportunity to walk, to bike, and to come down to Riverside Drive, to our beautiful park, and enjoy the festivities without having to get in a vehicle. They cannot do that right now. There's no connectivity. So as we discussed this at P&Z when I was on P&Z, however many years ago that was, it has always been the plan, the comprehensive plan, to create the loop for residents to use to get from point A to point B throughout the loop of the city. And I listened to those residents when I was on P&Z. I hear those residents today that they enjoy walking from their homes to community events, and they enjoy having the opportunity to do that. So I really think the study is in our best interest to know what the costs are, to understand what the obstacles might be, elevation, drainage, et cetera. Without any of that information, we're in the blind, and we're doing nothing for our constituents. So I speak in favor of this motion.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Are you good? Are you sure? All right.
I'll take, I'll make.
Do we have a motion and a second on this?
I think so.
All right.
Okay, then I'll move that we approve.
Make the motion? All right. Alderman McClatchy with a motion for 6D as presented. Alderman Strack for a
I
second.
would second, thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
No.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
No.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Thank you. That item is passed. 6E was pulled. Ordinance authorizing the mayor and the deputy city clerk to execute an addendum to the agreement between the city of McHenry and Flood Brothers Disposal Company with amends with specifications and terms for the leaf collection program per direction of the city council on June 19, 2023.
My request is just that it's a separate vote.
Sure.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve?
Yes, you do.
All right. Second, Alderman Miller.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Bassey?
No.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
No.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
No.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
That item has passed.
I just want to say that I want it on record the fact that I feel that we've just shafted the residents of the city of McHenry on a contract that they have taken and paid for the services that they will no longer get. And neither will I, as a resident of the city of McHenry, get the service that I've been paying, my very religiously paying, and not getting the service that I was supposed to be getting.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 6F, is ordinance authorizing the mayor and the deputy city clerk to sign and execute the attached amended collective bargaining agreement between the city of McHenry and Illinois Fraternal Order of Police through April 30th, 2025. Alderman Strack?
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. Second? Alderman McClatchy?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion by council? Go ahead, Alderman Cook.
The overtime that comes in there, I was reading through it. Do they have set hours? I mean, is it 9 to 5? You know?
They're shift employees, yes, they have set hours, they work 12-hour shifts.
Okay, well, this overtime, it says added 4 hours?
That's existing in their current contract. They work more than 80 hours every pay period, four extra hours. And by law, they're either paid that in time and a half, or they're paid it in compensatory time.
In the same time? I mean, time and a half, that's 6 hours, right? So they will get 6 hours comp time?
They would get 1.5 hours of paid, yes, correct. Yeah, there's no change in that. We're not asking for that to be changed. That's their existing rights right now.
Does the budget cover
Yes,
all
it
this
does.
overtime and everything?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I have no problem with it then.
Any other questions, comments by council? All right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderwoman Bassey?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on agenda is 6H, is an ordinance amending Title 9-2C-5, subsection B, and Title 9-4B-1, subsection F of the McHenry Municipal Code in relation to waterworks and wastewater rates.
Separate vote,
Separate
please.
vote, okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding this item?
No, I'll make the motion
You need to make
then.
the motion? Okay,
Yes,
go
thank
ahead.
you.
Second? Alderman Strack?
I'll second.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Bassey?
No.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller? Yes. Alderman McClatchy?
No.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Do you three mind turning off your runway of lights over there? Because only three can be on at the time. You guys had them all on. You just got to, yeah, you all, no, it's all right. I just want to remind you. Look like a runway down there. Go ahead.
Please, I just want to make sure I understand. This is for Attorney McCardle. When you make a motion to approve an item and then you vote the opposite way, that's fine with the person who makes the motion, correct? Is that how, is that? That's okay, right? I just want to make sure, okay, make sure I understand it. Okay. No, thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Unusual, but it's okay. Yeah.
Next item on the agenda that was pulled by Alderman Santee was a block party request on Dale Street on September 19, 2023 from 12 noon to 5 p.m. Sounds like you're attending this party and you can't vote on it, but Alderman Glab?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second, Alderman Miller?
I'll second Alderman Santee's party.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey.
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Santee, he abstains.
We'll see you there. Next item on the agenda is 7A is an individual action item, facade grant for 1228 North Green Street. I am looking for a motion to approve a facade grant application funding request in the amount of $10,000 for the property located at 1228 North Green Street. Director Martin, you want to go ahead and present this?
Thank you, Mayor Jett. This is a facade grant for the property at 1228 North Green Street, Cantoritos Tequila Bar and Grill. They are working on the west, they're working on the whole building, but this is specifically for the west and south sides of the building. They're going to be putting windows in. They've run into a lot of construction issues on that building. That's why they haven't opened yet, but they're working through those issues. I put pictures of the elevations on there before it is now and what it is now, if that makes any sense. They're eligible for up to $10,000. It's 27 feet of lineal frontage on the building. If council concurs, it is recommended a motion be made approving a facade grant application for the property at 1228 North 3rd Street in the amount of $10,000. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And the applicant is here this evening as well. I am looking for a motion to approve 7A as presented. Alderman Santee.
I'll make a motion to approve 7A facade grant at 1228 North Green Street as presented.
Thank you. Alderman McClatchy for a
Second.
Thank you. Discussion by City Council. Alderman Santee.
If the petitioner could come up to the podium for one quick question, at least that's all I have.
Nothing's quick when Vic asks the question, just saying. No, I'm just kidding. Can you just hit the middle button?
Good evening.
There you go. You can move it.
Yes, hi. Hi.
Any idea of a timetable when you're opening?
Give or take, I'm thinking hopefully end of August, the beginning of September. I hope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anything that we could do to help you? I know we've had conversations.
Funding would be great.
Funding. Great. Well, I'll reach out to you guys and see if there's any help that we can provide. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mayor.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
I just want to applaud you for hanging around this long after everything going on today.
You picked a bad meeting.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Cook,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Thank you. It's passed. Thank you.
Thanks.
Keep moving forward. All right? Need some tequila. All right. Next item on the agenda is 7B is a facade grant for 3901 Main Street. Motion to approve a facade grant application funding request in the amount of $18,261 for the property located at 3901 Main Street. Director Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a facade grant for Ye Olde Corner Tap at 3901 Main Street. They're redoing the whole building. residing the whole building, going from vinyl to hardy board type siding, and painting and doing siding, trim work, and window and house wrapping. And their total cost is approximately $36,523. They're eligible for up to a $30,000 grant, more than 80 feet of lineal frontage. If the council concurs with staff, it is recommended a motion be made approving a facade grant application for this property located at 3901 Main Street in the amount of $18,261.
Thank you. I am looking for a motion to approve 7B as presented. Alderman Santee?
I will make that motion to approve 7B, the facade grant at 3901 Main Street as presented, $18,261.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Miller?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion by council? Alderman Cook?
How much is left in the facade monies?
After all the grants come in and are paid out, and including these, it'll be $6,573.50.
Thank you.
After these.
To last for 5 more months? We have 6,000 left for the remainder of the year?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It's first come, first served.
Right, thank you.
All right. All right, any other questions, comments? Alderman Glad.
No,
Sorry.
of course. No, one thing is I'd like to see, pertains to this, but not directly, indirectly, I think we need to see a list of what we've had as far as dollars spent on these facade grants, let's say over the last 3 to 4 years. It seems to be escalating more and more and more. And again, maybe in the future we take a look at changing it to, instead of $1 per dollar, maybe we do 50 cents per dollar or whatever, because I don't want to see the facade grants constantly just growing and growing and growing. There's so many other things that we need to spend money on. And if we have owners that really want to spruce and they want help from the government, it's fine, but maybe we need to look at, controlling how much we're giving out per project.
I'll bring it back as a discussion item before year end.
I do plan on bringing that back in the next probably month or less.
You bring it back as a discussion item?
As
Is that
a
what you want to do?
discussion item,
Yeah.
yes.
We can have that discussion.
Changes.
Probably the second meeting in August.
Is there going to be a second
Yeah,
one?
let's do that. All right, perfect. Any other questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Cook?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderwoman Massey?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Thank you, council, it's passed. Is the applicant here? Either of you the applicant? No? Okay. It's great to see that some business owners on Main Street are starting to revitalize Main Street. And as other things happen here in the next few months with the property that got torn down and stuff like that, and the new development on Main Street, I think that's we're all heading in the right direction on Main Street. So thank you for investing in McHenry on Main Street. Staff reports. Is there any new staff reports?
So all I have is just something quick to maybe help clarify something, and I apologize if this has not been clear in the past. I've talked to a couple of council members about the ways that council members can get items added to agendas and or committee of the whole discussions. I even hate to say that word. But we moved to discussion items so that we had the opportunity, and by we, I don't mean just staff, but city council members too, either directly or if they get concerns from the public, to bring items before city council for discussion before action is taken on them. And it kind of serves as a committee of the whole meeting, or a committee of the whole item. So if a city council member has an item that they would like to have put on a future discussion agenda, here's how it would happen. bring it up under city council comments. If a majority of the city council nods their head and says, yeah, it's something we'd like to talk about as a discussion item, then I'll put it on as a discussion item because that's a direction of a majority of the city council. We bring things as staff, as you know, to bounce them off the council, or if it's a project that may be coming in or whatever. But certainly it's also an opportunity for other topics to come before us. I just need that direction provided by a majority of the city council at these meetings. So I just wanted to clarify that moving forward. All right, thank you.
And it's also, if it's after a meeting like after tonight and you have something that you want to have a discussion item mentioned, call me, and I have no issues of contacting council members, and you know, I can put anything on the agenda as well. So if I think it's something that's important, we'll certainly put that on there. So, thank you.
You need to take that water off. It's dry.
Am I making you?
What is he doing?
I'm not going to hit it.
Yeah.
I only have so much
I hear that
space.
all the time.
Any other staff reports? Bill, go ahead.
Just one quick one. The parade is on Sunday, and if you are going to be participating, please let me know. Just shoot me an email. Your responsibility is to provide your own candy or people to distribute that candy. But if you can just let me know, that way I can plan for the space in the lineup on Sunday. It does kick off at 1:30. Also, if you're going to be in the parade, then I'll make sure that we have the magnets for your cars. So.
These are all the people that are in.
Okay. If you have your magnet, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll try to track them down. I thought some of you have them.
You want the ones from the 90s or the 2000s?
Anyone that you want to throw, but it is the 75th anniversary, so whichever one you want to go with.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. The pressure, you guys.
So you doing it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right. So everyone.
All right. You will, if you haven't participated before, you'll line up on Main Street. Typically, our elected officials are in front of the Sugarleaf or the old bank building, West McHenry Bank building. That's usually the general area that you'll be in. So,
any questions, you can contact me.
Yeah, please contact me if any questions.
Yeah. All right. You're going to go ahead and get magnets for those individuals that do not have them?
So, Mike, Chris, that should be it, right? Everybody else?
I'm good.
Frank's got his from 1987.
First one.
No, 83.
Jeez, that's when I was born. All right, any other? Yeah. Any other staff reports? See none? All right, city council comments. Yeah, go ahead. City council comments, go ahead.
I'm running. We're all aware of the air quality as a result of the Canadian fires. What I'm hoping is that on the city website, we can list some guidelines for people. For example, when it gets to 151, which is sensitive, which is actually unhealthy for all, just guidelines. Don't have outdoor fire pits. But once it hits 200, they are advising that if you do go outside, you should have a mask on just to go outside. Yeah, so I'm just asking that we could put something on our website that would have the air quality and just some suggestions. Don't have a fire pit, don't do stupid things outside, don't do fireworks.
Use that language, exactly.
And, I don't think people are aware of the fact that if it hits too high, they really should have a mask on. I know we're tired of masks, but I'm saying going from your car to wherever, just wear your mask. And that's all I'm asking.
Do you have a resource that you could send to Monty with that information in it? Like a website to go to that he could pull it off of?
I can.
Just send it to Monty and
Monty, I'll email that to you tomorrow.
He's the website guru. So.
Okay, because it is important that people are aware of the fact that they should still be wearing a mask when they go outside when it hits too high. We're not out of the woods with this whole Canadian stuff. No pun intended.
Any other questions or comments? Alderman Santee, go ahead.
I'll be very brief. I enjoyed volunteering this weekend for Fiesta Days, and things went quite well, very enjoyable. We did get They did stop because of a lightning issue on Friday night. But all in all, I hope most of you tried to get out there, but it was very enjoyable. And, look forward to Thursday night's event, and then also see most of you or all of you at the parade. Are you going to be in the parade, Wayne?
I am definitely in the parade.
You sure? Okay,
Yep.
good.
I'm there.
Okay, great.
Any other city council comments? I see none. At this time, we're going to enter into executive session. So anyone that is in the public, we'd ask that you'd step out of the room for 10, 15 minutes or so. We'll open the doors back up, and you can come back in for us to adjourn the meeting if you would so like. All right. The reason for the executive session is the 5 ILCS 122, Exception 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees. Staff can go ahead and, you want to go ahead and get staff? Yep, everyone can leave besides council members. And Trish. Yeah, yep, making a motion. Alderman Strack?
So moved.
Alderman Santee?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Thank you. I'm not saying nothing. Do we have to turn all the TVs and everything off out there?
Yeah, is everything still
Yeah.
wired up in the hallway and in the training room?
All right, just to make sure.
Are you going bye-bye? You coming back in? I'll call you tomorrow.
Not too long, I'll be out there.
Okay.
Monty, let us know if the training rooms are out.
Text tomorrow or both of us, Sean and I, tomorrow. Okay, good.